12 minutes past 7 the time now.
It's being reported this morning that China has announced it will formally ratify the Paris Climate Change Agreement, paving the way for a joint US-China statement on global warming later today.
The country is the world's largest emitter of harmful CO2 emissions.
To discuss this, we are joined from our London studio now by Tom Burke from the environmental think tank E3G. Morning to you.
Morning, Sally. Morning.
Oh, it's difficult to know where to start on this, isn't there? Because there is so much for them to get through, and certainly at this point there are several people on the global stage trying to put their name against this, aren't they? President Obama, for example, one of them.
I think that's right, but it's important to remember that we got the agreement we got in Paris that was better than most people expected, partly following a joint initiative by Obama and Xi in the middle of last year. And I think that's what they're planning to do again this afternoon. So I don't think you should see there's a sort of misalignment between the Chinese and the Americans. I think there's a real sense that if they speak together on this issue, they're going to add real momentum to the process of getting ratification to complete.
So the significance of the Paris Agreement was, if I'm right, was to keep any temperature increase globally to below 2 degrees. How are they suggesting that can be achieved?
Well, what's really important about the Paris Agreement, it didn't only set that goal, but it also set up a mechanism to keep countries rolling forward towards achieving it. And in what's happening, and in a sense Paris represents the turning point, we're moving from a situation in which all the focus on climate change was how, if you dealt with it, it would constrain your economy, to a situation in which we're increasingly focused on how dealing with climate change creates amazing opportunities to actually kick your economy back into life. And so we're seeing also the political risks of not doing something about climate change are growing. This year is likely to be the third hottest year ever that we've got, whereas the political risks of actually dealing with it are falling very rapidly as the costs of renewables, the costs of all the alternatives of a low-carbon economy go through the floor.
How easy will it be to police this agreement, and how legally binding might it be?
I think people are concerned about whether other countries will, as it were, perform their part in the role. International agreements there's no international police force in the way that there's a sort of international court that can force you to do things. So in that sense, it's not, you can't put a gun to people's head and force them to do it, but you can, and what you're seeing in the Paris Agreement is you can create real transparency and reporting on what people are actually doing, so that you've got a very transparent process, everybody can see what everybody else is doing, and you've got a ratchet mechanism for lifting up every few years, for lifting up the targets that people have set. But if you only think about this as people being forced to do what they don't want to do, you're missing the trick about the extent to which now this is increasingly opportunity driven rather than constraint driven.
Tom Burke, thank you very much.